Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. This is a very special episode because this is the season finale. What you've been watching up to now has been the first season of Basement of Horror, and this will be the final episode of the first season. And the main reason that I want to structure it this way is because I've got other things that I do with my YouTube channel. And I haven't had a Tomb of the Topstones video in about a year. So it's time for more of those. I did 6 Tomb of the Topstones videos. And then I stopped. Not intending to stop forever, just take a break. And now it's time for some more of those, another 6 episodes of Tomb of the Topstones. But they take a long time to make, much more than this. And these episodes take longer than you might think because I edit these. I have 2 cameras. A good friend of mine was telling me the other night that she really liked the multi-camera setup and the different angles and the cutting, and I thought that was kind of humorous because there's just me, myself, and there's no crew. I have 2 cameras, and I always cut this out. One thing you don't see, I have a remote, and I change the width of the shot. I go in tight or wider, and you don't see that. I always cut that out. But I'll say something, and I reach over here and change it, but you don't see that. And I'll also, in the editing process, because it's in high definition, I can zoom in and crop and change things that way. So I get the illusion of perhaps more of a production going on, more cameras or a crew or something, but there's nothing. There's just me sitting here alone in a basement with a couple of cameras. That's it. So after I shoot this, even though the episode might be half an hour, I know some are long, some are an hour or close to 90 minutes even, but most of them are around half an hour. But I might shoot 90 minutes and then cut it down to half an hour. And I have to edit between these 2 cameras, edit the shots. And sometimes they don't sync up correctly, and it's kind of a headache. So there's some work involved, post-production work. It's not like I just shoot it and that's it. There's maybe a couple of nights that I spend on each one to get it ready to upload. So there's some work, but Tomb of the Topstones requires a lot more research, and I actually write scripts for those. Now, I know you're here for Basement of Horror, not Tomb of the Topstones, but just indulge me for a moment. So with Tomb of the Topstones, the first episode about the shock monster, I just improvised. There was no script. I was shooting the masks and just improvising the voiceover as I was shooting. But as I went along, I refined that process, and now I actually write scripts, and I research it, and I double-check all the information, make sure I got the dates, and the cause and effect, and the relationships all correct. And there's a lot of different shots. I shoot a lot of footage of the masks, and I have to go find all those vintage photos and everything, and make sure that they're the correct photos for the topic, and clear the use of the photo. I already have clearance for most of those photos, but sometimes I have to double check. So there's a lot of stuff involved with making an episode of Tomb of the Topstones. So it's hard to do that and do another series at the same time. Also, I do music videos. And it's been, now I don't mean music videos like MTV or something. No, I mean I play synthesizers, and I do videos of either me playing the synthesizers, or I record a track and just just music and put up maybe a photo montage or something as the visual. But that was the main thing on my channel for a couple of years, and I haven't been doing much of that this year, 2019, so far. It's 4 months since I did one, so it's past due for some music videos. And again, it's hard to do one of these Basement of Horror shows, trying to do one a week and do that too. So I need to space things out a bit. Basement of Horror will return later this year. So I did about a dozen full episodes this time. Maybe 13, 14. I mean, there was a mini-sode and there was some other things. But roughly about a dozen episodes. And we'll do that mini later this year, the second season. We'll do another dozen or so episodes. And then in 2020, I would hope to do a third season, another dozen or so episodes. Could I keep it going longer than that? I don't know. I have a big collection, but I don't know that all of it is, worth showing here. I don't know that it would hold your interest. So I think I can do a third season, but after that, I might start running out of really good boxes of stuff to show you. Maybe I could stretch it to a fourth season. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy a lot more stuff between now and then and have more stuff to show. I don't know. So I know some people have commented, "Oh no, don't stop the series." I'm not stopping, just pausing. And this is the exciting season finale. I can't guarantee that it's as exciting a finale as you might see on Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead. It's not as exciting as those season finales. But it is the season finale. So, sorry, this is what you're getting. Box of toys. That's the season finale. You might notice it's kind of small. It's almost like a pizza box. This is the season finale. I'm sorry. Well, let's see what's in it. On the exciting season finale of Basement of Horror. Okay. Well. All right. Huh. This is the season finale. Ta-da! The exciting season finale. These little guys are called Monster Men, or Monster Nicks, but that was really more of a brand name for a particular kind, and that's not what these are. So, I think you can see them pretty well. I don't really have to get them out of this bag, do I? So that's a Frankenstein. And this is a Wolfman. And this is King Kong. You guys know I love King Kong. Obviously, these are monster versions of trolls, troll dolls. And, oh, you know how I was talking about using this thing? Okay, let's show you what this actually looks like. This is what I edited out. Ta-da! See? Normally you wouldn't see that. But I'm just letting you in on the secret, the movie magic behind the scenes. I'm letting you in on it just this once. So these are basically troll figures. So trolls were a big deal years ago, and they keep coming back. Every generation kind of rediscovers trolls. These little figurines that have just a solid body with no articulation. They're just the torso, the arms, and the legs, and they don't move. But then they have a jointed neck and a big head and this tuft of hair sticking, this glued on, this kind of fun fur that's just glued on. And you see here that there's Frankenstein's little punky hair glued on to the top of his head. These heads are based on the Aurora monster model heads. Let's take King Kong out. Now, they haven't been out of these bags in a long time. There's King Kong, and you can see right away that his head is molded off of the Aurora model kit. Obviously, it's just like it. And even how the Aurora model kit has like teeth that you have to insert in there. It doesn't have the whole teeth on the face piece, so you have to put the jaws in separately. That's reflected on this. You can see it has a little gap in its teeth for no particular reason. That's because it's molded off the Aurora kit. And interestingly, the Wolfman, let's take him out too. My friend also says that she likes watching me take the toys out of the bags. That's an exciting cinematic moment for her. So hopefully she's watching. We've got some bag action just for her. Okay, so here's Wolfman, and you can see he's not based on the Aurora model kit. He's based on the Bama artwork that was used on the boxes for the Aurora art, the James Bama artwork for the Aurora boxes. So on the Aurora original 60s kits, James Bama painted this Wolfman with ears sticking up on top of his head, like the Oliver Reed Wolfman from The Hammer Curse of the Werewolf, because that was the most recent big werewolf movie at the time. So I don't know if it was Bama's decision on his own or if it was Aurora, the company's decision, but they wanted to tie it in with the most recent up-to-date major werewolf movie, because the Wolfman at that point was many, many years old. So on the box art, he has these ears sticking up, these canine ears sticking up on the top of his head, but the model kit doesn't have that. The model kit is more like the Universal design, the Universal Studios Wolfman. But this toy is like the James Bama artwork. It's not like the actual Aurora kit itself. It's not molded off of that. And I don't know, I mean, I guess they must have created a special sculpt just for this. But you see that on a lot of 60s Wolfman toys. They have those ears up like that. And sometimes they'll have the human ears and the pointy ears. At some point, I'm sure we'll have an episode where you'll see the Sokies and other toys that from the 60s that have those ears like that. But that's something to look forward to in season 2 or season 3. So you got to keep watching to see the other Wolfman toys with the ears like that. I'm sure that will keep you glued to the computer waiting for that. So let's see. Here's a nice green Frankenstein. He's cute. And he does seem to be molded off of the Aurora kit. The head does seem like it's based on the Aurora model kit. It's enlarged, it's bigger than the Aurora model kit, but it does seem like it started its life as part of the Aurora model kit. So these are, they're basically monster trolls. They were sold loose like these, and also they were sold in bags with a header card that said Monster Man. Then there was a more upscale version called Monster Nix, and they had the same 3 characters, and only the quality was much better. They were a little bigger, and the faces were painted much better. I mean, these don't have very little paint, but the Monster Nix had a decent paint job, and the heads came in different colors, and the clothes were a little more elaborate, and they actually came on a card, a bubble card. And at some point you'll see at least one of those. I have a Frankenstein on a card. He's got a white head. They also made him with green head and blue head, I don't know what other colors. And I would love to have all 3 of them on cards. I don't have that at the moment, so I don't know if, when I finally get around to doing that episode, if maybe I'll have 1 or 2 more. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, let's keep going here. Okay. Well, these are the Weirdo necklaces. Okay. Right. So you can see with this one, that's Frankenstein. And he has a strong resemblance to this Frankenstein. Even has the same kind of plastic. The head is made of the same plastic. And the face is very similar. And he's got the same 3 characters on the card: Frankenstein, Wolfman, King Kong. Only the back of this head is flat. It comes with this string. I think is it a plastic string or a fabric string? I can't tell. But it comes with a big long string, as it says 30-inch necklace. It says so on the card. 30-inch necklace. So you can wear this around your neck. It hangs down like a little pendant. Oh, let's see if we can take a look at all these. Okay, here's the King Kong. Now, I should have told you when these were made. I talked about the James Bama Aurora artwork being from the 60s. All of these are from the 60s. So everything you're looking at, these are all 60s toys. It's all from the 60s. Everything in this box is from the 60s. So there's King Kong. You can see he's got the same thing going with his teeth. He's missing his middle teeth because he's modeled off the Aurora kit. And the Aurora kit didn't have those middle teeth. It was a separate piece you had to glue in place. Let's save that one. Okay. Boy, the way I've got these things packaged up, you'd think they were worth $1,000 each. They're not. I mean, they're not worth very much. They're really cute, but they don't have a lot of monetary value. Here's the Wolfman. Now he's actually better painted than this one. This one doesn't have any paint on its face. This one at least has the eyes and the mouth painted. So if anything, it's more detailed than the figure, than the Monster Man figure. And the backs of the cards are the same as the front. Now this is the rarest one. This is a little different. It's not Frankenstein, it's not King Kong, it's not Wolfman. It's not pictured on the card. This is the skull, and he has googly eyes. You see that? His eyes wiggle around. He's got those eyes that they're like a black disc in the plastic and the white background. So when you shake it, they shake around. The pupils shake around. So there he is, and he's very different from the other ones. It's a different character. As far as I know, there's no Monster Nick or Monster Man with a skull head. Different character. It's not, unless it's the Forgotten Prisoner, it's not based on Aurora Kid. I mean, maybe that was the idea. I don't know. And I can tell now that the necklace, the string is made of plastic. It's not fabric, it's plastic. So he's a unique character, the skull. That's sort of the odd man out. He's not pictured on the card. He's not, there's no equivalent Nick, Monster Nick, or Monster Man figure of him. So he's kind of different. There's his back, just to show you his back. It's smooth like the other ones. He's kind of grinning. He's got like a big wide grin. So he's cool. And I see that one of his staples isn't really engaged. Well, anyway. So those are the Wear a Weirdo necklaces made in Hong Kong, and they share some kind of lineage with these Monster Man figures. You know, whoever made those Monster Man figures probably made these too, or was involved in it somehow. They're made of the same kind of plastic, same color, basically the same character selection. And there were other things like this. There's a whole lot of little charms and monster charms from the 60s that are kind of the same style, same look, same sculpt, basically, only maybe shrunk or enlarged. So this kind of thing was really prevalent in the 60s. You saw a lot of this kind of stuff. You know, this is the tip of the iceberg. There were all kinds of little novelty items with the same sort of, with these same sculpts. I mean, these got around. The same basic kind of a sculpt. You saw that on a lot of different stuff. And in fact, I have some other things that I would have thought would be in this box, but they're not. I've got some little jumping toys that have like springs that are kind of like these. So here's the Weirdo. This is the exciting season finale. Hope you're enjoying it. Okay, so now we've got to clear this out a bit. So we have coming up in this box might be a little more interesting. All right, let's see here. Okay. Alright, I really can't see these unless I take them out of these bags. So make sure you get a good look at them. I'm going to take them out very carefully. Let's see, where can I put these? Don't get hung up there. Okay. All right. So let's see, how can I display these? I don't know if they're going to stand up very well. Oh, Stinker's here. Let's see. Come on up here, Stinker. Stinker's using a litter box. Maybe he'll come by later. Okay. Maybe we'll just take him a few at a time here. Can we get another one up there? I'd like to show all of them at once. Can we get another one in there? Let's see here. There. Get one group shot. There we go. So these are 1960s monster knotters, or bobbleheads. I'll take them one at a time. They're in these bags, and they're not coming out of these bags. These are their original bags. So they've never been out of these. That is Garloo, like the Great Garloo, the toy, the Great Garloo. If you've not heard of it, it's I'm sure if you're into monster toys, you know what the Great Garloo is, but it was a big battery-operated toy that looked pretty much like that, and it rolled along, and it had like arms that would move up and down, side to side, and it could pick up things and hold like a tray, and it, did different stuff. It was like a big kind of robotic kind of a toy of this sort of gargoyle kind of a monster, and I think that's Garloo. It was a Marx toy, Louis Marx. So the Lou, I guess, is Louis from Louis Marx, and Gar is like gargoyle. I'm just guessing. That's what Garloo means. But, so this isn't made by Louis Marx, but it's obviously based on that toy. It's like a nodder or bobblehead version of that toy. He's cute. I hope you're seeing his face through this plastic. I know there's a lot of light reflecting off that plastic. Okay. Alright, well, no particular order. Here is our buddy, the creature from the Black Lagoon. And he's a little different from your average creature because he's got big ears or horns. Whatever those are, I think they're horns. And I'm sure that's just an attempt to avoid copyright infringement claim from Universal. They say, oh, no, that's not the creature in the Black Lagoon. He's got horns. See? Right there. And right there. But he's obviously the creature from the Black Lagoon. Of course he is. He's a really happy, goofy-looking creature. Oh, I see his bag is splitting a bit there. Got a split. Well, I don't want that to get any worse. I'll mention what these bags are all about in a second. But these are original bags that they came in. So this is an interesting one. It's often called the mummy, but it's not the mummy. That's Frankenstein's daughter. Frankenstein's Daughter was this low-budget exploitation movie. I don't know what year. I want to say late 50s. I don't know exactly. But it's really low budget, and the monster in it looks like this. That's it. That's the monster. And it's supposed to be a woman who was deliberately killed in a car crash. The mad doctor runs his car into her and uses her head. He's already got the body. Uses her head to make this monster. But the monster's played by a man. And it's obviously a man in makeup. And apparently the director didn't communicate to the makeup artist that the monster was supposed to be female. So, but they had already cast a guy to play it anyway, so whatever. The legend goes that the makeup artist did this male Frankenstein monster, and then he showed up on the set, and the director was horrified because that's not what he wanted. It's supposed to be a female monster. So they just put some lipstick on it and called it a female. I don't know what the truth really is, but that's the story. But anyway, that's the monster. That's Frankenstein's daughter. Looks like that. Kind of a mummy-like character. And I've seen Frankenstein's Daughter recently. And it's a really dark movie. It's unusual. I mean, it's very low budget, but it's surprisingly effective for what it is. And it's got some really dark undertones and some surprising things that it takes some surprising turns. So it's for what it is, it's not a bad movie. This bag's coming apart too. This is basically the Metaluna mutant. His head is turned to the side, so I'll show him like that. And then like that. Now he's not the most screen accurate Metaluna mutant you've ever seen. But that's what he is. He's the Metaluna mutant. I mean, that's what he's based on. It's not licensed. It's not official. But that's obviously what he's based on. He's a very comical-looking version of the Metaluna mutant. And all of these things have a kind of whimsy about them. They're not really trying to be scary. They're cute. They're silly. So here's the Phantom of the Opera. He's pretty cool. I mean, he's one of the more serious-looking ones. I really like the colors on him. Especially down here, he's got some interesting colors, and his head is yellow. Very interesting. He's one of the more slightly serious-looking sculpts. I mean, they're all comical. They're all parodies of the characters, but he's a little more on-model than the other ones. And I think he's kind of based on an iron-on transfer illustration from the 60s that kind of looked like this. I see some similarity there. So he's awfully cute. They're all cool. Okay, so what's with these bags? Why are they in these bags? These were, as far as anyone knows, these were Carnival prizes. So if you were at some game, trying to win something at Carnival, they used to be hanging on these little hooks. You can see in the top there, they hang on that hook. They might have like rows of these at the Carnival game, and if you won something, you could pick it out. And I'm sure there were other ways this might have been utilized, maybe gift shops or something like that. But generally, this is thought to be Carnival game packaging to have at one of those Carnival games you can't win, but they would have a bunch of stuff just in case you did win. So you might be throwing or shooting something or guessing something or whatever. Now, this was not the only way these were packaged. They also came in bags with header cards. And I don't know exactly what the header cards said. It was the same figure, same nodder, with like a little spring in the neck so the head bounces up and down. And these, by the way, nodders sometimes are made of like paper mache or resin or plaster or whatever. These are just vinyl. These are like soft vinyl. And the head is like an even softer vinyl. So they're not like the famous Frankenstein, Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera nodders that are very expensive. They're like thousands and thousands of dollars each. But there's three very famous nodders, Frankenstein, Phantom, Wolfman, that I think are made of like a paper mache kind of a material or something like that. They chip really easily. It's hard to find one that isn't chipped or cracked. Well, it's hard to find one at all. And when you do find one, it's going to be multi-thousands of dollars each. So I don't have any of those nodders. So these are also nodders, but they're not made of that kind of material. They're made of like a soft sort of vinyl material. But so they came in this style. They also came with a header card in a bag. These same designs were also used for wind-up toys called Wiggle Icks. Wiggle like a worm that wiggles, and ick like gross. Ick. Something's gross. Ick. Wiggle Icks. And they looked almost the same. They weren't exactly the same sculpt, but clearly made by you would think made by the same company, or else one company was ripping off the other company. But basically the same sculpts, only you would wind them up and then they kind of vibrate. I don't think they walked exactly. They didn't have any moving legs like that. I think they just moved by virtue of something vibrating inside of there that made them wiggle, the wiggle icks. And I don't know if they just kind of shook in one place or they moved forward a little bit. I've never had any of those, but their bodies are made of a more brittle plastic. I don't know if the heads might be the very same heads as these. I'm not sure. The heads do bob like that. They are attached, like these nodders. I believe they're attached the same way in like a spring or something. But the bodies are more solid, and they have like a mechanism in there, and you wind them up and they shake and wiggle. And those came in boxes, window boxes, and actually said Wiggle Ick on it, or Wiggle Icks. I don't know if it was singular or plural, I don't know. And I think the back showed the different characters. And there's one character in the Wiggle Icks that as far as I know, it doesn't exist in this set, and that's like a kind of a pig man. He's sort of a mean, pig-headed kind of guy. I don't know if he's exactly a pig, but he's sort of just this weird beast man kind of character. And he's in the Wiggle Ick series, the wind-up series. But as far as I know, he's not in this series, just the regular nodders. I don't think he exists in this version. I've been looking for one like this, and I've never found one. People tell me it doesn't exist. So he's only in the Wiggle Ick version. The Wiggle Ick, or Wiggle Icks, they're rarer and they go for more money. So I don't have any of those. Not really. I don't have a strong desire to own any. Those are the kind of thing where if I could get the entire set at one time, I mean, it would cost a lot of money, but let's say I got a great deal, maybe then I'd buy them. But I don't have any interest in trying to collect those one at a time, the boxed ones, the wind-up ones. It would take the rest of my life to assemble a complete set and cost a lot of money, and they're just, I don't care enough about them to do that. They'd be nice to have, but not a big deal. I like these, and I'd like to have some with the header card. That'd be nice. I do like these Nodders. They're really cute. I like the character selection. I really like the Frankenstein's daughter. That is just such a weird, random choice. And Garloo, I mean, why would you make a toy of a toy? A knockoff toy based on a completely different kind of toy. It's weird. But they did it. You don't see that kind of stuff today, but really all the way through the 90s, it was common for toy companies to knock off other toy companies and make these weird, crude copies of other companies' toys. I guess it still happens, but not as much, and it's not as colorful or cool now as it used to be. Well, so these are, as I said, Carnival prizes, as far as anyone knows. These bagged ones with the little loops on top, they're Carnival prizes. So I think what we're going to do is stop for a moment, reset, and I'm going to show you another Monster Carnival prize. And this is probably the king of all Monster Carnival prizes. And that will bring us to the end of this season of Basement of Horror. So I have one special thing to show you. First I'm going to stop and clean this off and prepare the way for this guest star toy that we're going to see in just a moment. While I was editing this video, I took a break and drove around on an errand. While I was driving, I just happened to find that a carnival had set up in my town. I haven't been to a carnival in many years, so I thought it would be fun to walk around and go on a few rides. But I also thought maybe I could use this in the episode. So as I wandered around the carnival, I shot some video with my phone. I was really surprised to find that the carnival wasn't dramatically different from the carnivals I remember from my childhood. Later in this episode, you hear me talk about carnivals, and I wonder if the carnivals of my youth are still around. Are they still a thing? Do people still go to carnivals? Are there still carnival games? And I can say yes. Yes, carnivals are definitely still around, and at least this one, in my neck of the woods, doesn't seem to have changed very much. And yes, there was a midway with plenty of carnival games, much like the ones that I describe in this video, with prizes hanging around the window on either side in plain sight, so you can't help but notice them and be enticed. And you can imagine going back in time, similar kinds of carnival games, only with really cool monster toys hanging in place of these stuffed toys and all these modern novelties. And there are even carnival barkers yelling at me as I walk past the games, trying to get me to come and play one. I thought it was important to include this video of a real carnival to provide some context for the toys we're looking at in this episode. So imagine a little kid going to a carnival like this and coming home with something like those Nodders we looked at, or something like the toy we're about to see. Hello, I'm back. I've cleared away the other toys, and now here is our special guest. So you will remember a moment ago I was talking about how those Nodders were Carnival prizes. That's why they were in those bags with those hooks on them. I could be wrong, but that's the general consensus in the collecting community, that those kinds of toys were prizes at carnivals. That's why they're in those bags. They would be hanging on peg hooks, and you could pick which one you wanted. They also could have been in gift shops that way, in that kind of packaging. I could see that in a gift shop. But there's a reason to have that hook on there. So they're not the kind of thing that would be on a shelf or in a bin. They're things that'd be hanging around, like in a carnival game. You know, they also have stuff not just back there, but even around the window, just like on the edges of the window. There are toys stuck, hanging around the edges, or maybe even the bottom. I don't know, the counter, where you step up to. So they're just kind of stuck everywhere. So everywhere you look, there's something you could win. And I don't know if are carnivals even really a thing anymore. I mean, I see carnival rides still, and in recent years I've been to some carnivals, but the old carnival with like what I'm talking about, where there were all those games and like the barkers, and I don't know if that world's still around to the same extent as it was when I was a kid. So I don't know if what I'm saying even means anything. Like games, what's he talking about? I don't even know if I'm getting through to anybody here. But that's how it used to be. And this toy is thought to be a carnival prize. You can see it's kind of large, but this was a carnival prize as far as people know. So let's unveil this and see what in the heck this is. He's still in one piece. See, oh dear. Every time I look at him, he he looks like he's deteriorated a little bit more. I wasn't even sure I'd be able to get him from upstairs to downstairs, because he was not in my basement, he was upstairs. Okay. Yow. Boy, is this a fragile toy. I mean, it could very well come apart in my hands right here on camera. Okay, let's see here. Can I even lift him up for you to see him, or is he going to fall apart? He's a Frankenstein, obviously. Let's try this other. Oh, you have no idea how delicate this is. Ooh. Yikes. Okay, so there he is. I will use the magic of video technology to zoom in a little bit. Alright, so this is obviously a Frankenstein doll, and he has posable arms, which are about to fall off at any moment. He's very, very fragile. I mean, if you sneeze, he'll just break. So this little guy, well, he's a big guy. He's, good grief, what is he, like 16 inches tall? Apparently he's from the 60s, as far as anybody knows. Let's see, can I get it even tighter on his face? I'm not sure. So as far as anybody knows, he's from the 60s. Now, I wanted one of these a long time as a collector. It's very rare, very hard to find. I missed out on one in the 90s. I could have got one for a couple $100, but I missed out on that. And it was like 20 years before I had another chance to get one. And I didn't pay a lot for him, mostly because the condition is very delicate. But I don't know if you can even find one in much better condition. I had a friend who had one in better shape, but then one day he just picked it up and the head came off. Or almost. I mean, it cracked all the way through to the point where it almost came off. Another collector who's very well known in the community, he had one of these, and one day, well, not one day, but over time, the arms just disintegrated, and he showed a picture of what the arms looked like, and they disintegrated. They just went to pieces. They looked like bits of orange peel that had dried up or something. So, and this guy, he's not perfect. He's far from perfect. He's got a lot of cracks under his chin and around his collarbone. And he's got a lot of cracks on his arms. I mean, one of these days, these arms are going to come apart. So he's got a lot of issues. He has real hair. I don't know what this hair is made of, but it's actual hair that's been applied. And his boots, I think, are let's see, you see on this camera, you can see his boots. His boots are hard. They're like resin. Some people think they're metal, but I think they're resin. I don't know if you can see on this. Can you? I don't know if you can see on this camera here, but he's got a bad crack right there on his wrist. And so one of these days, and he's got 2 cracks, so that's just going to come right off one of these days. He's so delicate, so fragile, and so cute. I mean, I really don't want him to die. He's undead, I guess. He's Frankenstein, but I really don't want him destroyed. He's made of, when he was new, I think he was made of like a soft rubber. I don't know if he was squishy, but that rubber has just dried up and disintegrated over time. Yeah, I mean, it must have been like a latex rubber, because the way it's cracked and dried, it's like what latex does over time. Like, as a mass collector, I see that all the time. It cracks, it dries up. That's kind of what's happened here. He's hard, and he feels like a latex mask that's dried up. So I'm thinking that's what's happened, but I'm not sure. Like this crack here on his wrist, it wasn't as noticeable a few years ago. It's become more noticeable. So I'm thinking the edges of that crack are contracting, which is kind of what rubber does over time. It kind of shrivels. So if there's a part in it, it's going to contract away from that gap. So I think my guess is he's made of latex that's dried up. It's going to continue to dry up. I mean, I can tell already he's stiffer now than he was a decade ago. So I've had him about 10 years. And he's yeah, maybe not quite 10 years. But, I've had him several years. And he's stiffer now than he was when I got him. So he's awfully cute, but let's set him down and hope he doesn't fall apart right here on camera. And his arms are jointed, and they've got, oh, by the way, his boots have a little sticker. I'm not going to show that to you. I'm not risking moving him. There's no profit in it. I'm asking for trouble. I will just move him this much. There we go. He's very, very fragile. Very fragile. So, anyway, he's thought to be a carnival prize, a carnival souvenir, something you would get in a carnival game, and you could choose him. And there's a rumor that there was a witch made in the same style, but I've never, in all these years, I've never seen the witch, so I don't think it exists. I think it's just him. He's really, really cute, and he's got that kind of sad, grumpy, sleepy face that any good Frankenstein toy should have. He's got this stitch in his chest that you can see through his shirt, like the stitches. That's a detail you don't usually see on a Frankenstein. He does have a scar like a universal on his forehead, and he's got some on his jaws. And does he have electrodes? I can't tell. I'm not gonna mess with them. I'm afraid to even touch him. He's so delicate. He's got kind of a blue jeans. I like that. Blue jeans and like a sash around his waist. And he's got this really kind of hippie style top. It's with the thread cross stitching. And I wish I could show you his hands in more detail. Let's see here. I'll just take some still photos here. While I'm shooting this, I took some pictures with my iPhone, so I'll cut those close-ups into this so you can see some of these details, like the sticker I was talking about, and the hands. He's got a lot of detail in his hands, and you can see some of this damage like to the neck and the wrists. Wow. So he's very fragile. And he's something I wanted for a long time, so even though he's in this kind of condition, I bought him anyway. It would be nice to find one in perfect condition, but even if he was perfect, I don't know that he would stay that way. I could spend a lot of money for a really minty one, and then a few years later he could be in the same condition as this. You just, like I said, there were two friends I know that had these that they start out in great condition, and over time they just disintegrated. So because of that, I went on a mission to see if I could preserve this guy. I contacted the two biggest names in restoration of toys and movie props and masks. Toys and movie props and masks. They're two big names. And both of them told me that I should go to the other one. Guy A said go to guy B, and guy B said go to guy A. One said this is a job for this other guy, and then one said well, this is a job for this other guy. So neither of them wanted to do it. They were both afraid of destroying the thing. Neither of them really knew how to approach this, and I don't know if they might see this and have other ideas, but I guess, how would you do it? I mean, you have to fill it with something to stabilize it, and these arms are hollow. You'd have to fill that, and I'm sure that all these cracks would come apart. You'd have to just glue it back together. I don't know. maybe you'd have to remove the head or something. Well, he's got holes where the shoulders are because there are joints there. And he's got a really old-fashioned way of attaching the shoulders. There are these plastic discs that are attached to the arms at the shoulder, and then there's like a straw or something in the side, and I don't know if it's a string that's tied or if it's a rubber band. I think it's just a string that's tied in there. And the reason I know about the straw I'm going to get to in a minute. He's got like a wire frame in his legs. So in trying to get him restored, or try to find someone who could do it and figure out like what would be the best way to go about it, I decided that what I needed to do was have him x-rayed to figure out exactly what's going on inside of him and how he's made. I decided that he needed to be x-rayed. And these are the x-rays. Here they are. These are the actual x-rays that I had done that show the inside of this doll. And I'll show digital versions of those. But let me tell you the story of how I had this thing x-rayed. So we'll follow along in some photos here. I'm going to show you some photos while I go. I took him to, I don't want to say his name or what exactly his specialty is, but someone I know in the medical field. I packed him very well for the trip to the doctor's office and gave him a lot of cushy plastic bags to surround him, to make sure that nothing jostled him, bumped him. So he had a very comfortable ride over there, and you can see the box that I used. It's the same kind of box that you see on Basement of Horror, more or less. Here you see the physician and his assistant preparing to x-ray Frankie. Here's the x-ray office where we performed the procedure. And he needed to stand on a book because he was kind of short. So he stood on a book to make sure he was the correct height. Frankie was kind of scared, I think, but I was there to protect him and reassure him and let him know everything was going to be okay. You can see from the look on his face that Frankie had some trepidation about the whole thing. He wasn't sure what was happening to him. He was a little nervous, as any toy would be. You know, toy going to the doctor's office, just like a child, is going to be kind of nervous. But Frankie stood still. He was a good boy. He stood still, got his x-ray. Here's the doctor looking at the x-ray, kind of evaluating it while he was doing it, letting me know some things he was seeing. Here you see him actually looking at one of the x-rays. He was going, aha, look at this. And here are the actual x-rays. So you can see he's got wires in his legs, and you can see that his right leg has a broken wire. And if you handled him in person, you could feel that. You could feel that one wire is broken because one leg sort of doesn't have the same stability as the other leg. And if you could zoom in on these pictures, you would see that there's all these little fissures, little hairline cracks in the arms and the torso. You probably can't see them in this video, but if you had these images, these JPEGs on your computer and zoomed in, you could see them. So this told us some things. So his torso and his head are all one piece. I wasn't sure if he might be jointed at the waist with the legs, but they're all one piece. And it revealed that straw, it is a straw in the middle between his shoulders. So that's how the arms are attached. There's like a string or something tied to each arm going through that straw. Very strange way to construct a toy, but it's my understanding that other dolls were made that way in the 60s. So if I were to, I don't know, try to foam him somehow, pour foam in there or something, I can see how it would probably spill out the bottom of his legs. And it would probably just crack him apart, really. I don't know how. You'd have to seal him up from the outside somehow. Maybe go in through the shoulder openings. It wouldn't be easy. It would be a big risk. And then you'd really have to do something to the arms. I mean, you can't just leave them go. You've got to fill them with something, because they're hollow and they're going to fall apart. So how would you do that? So after looking at these x-rays and sharing them with those two experts, everyone involved decided that the risk just wasn't worth it. That there wasn't any method available at this time that we could be confident would do the job without destroying the toy. So he was never restored. He's still in the same state as he was in when I bought him. And probably just trying to preserve him is the best I can do. If one of these hands breaks off, I'll just have to glue it back on. What else can I do? If his head breaks off, glue it back on. I don't know. It's not ideal, but it's probably better than trying to fill him with something. What would I fill him with? I don't know. I could seal him from the outside, seal these cracks with latex that could be peeled off. Paint him with latex to seal it from the outside, and then maybe pour latex inside to coat it. And I don't know. And then I could fill him with resin. That doesn't expand, so that might be better, but it's really heavy. Or I could try foam, but that expands. And whatever I do, it's going to probably run out the bottom of his legs. So it was probably a wise decision to not try anything. Well, I think if a method presented itself that seemed like it would work, we would have tried it. But there just wasn't any method. And that surprised me. I mean, the two guys I'm talking about, they've restored some expensive, rare, important stuff. So I thought if anyone would know how to do this, they would. But I thought there'd be some super secret, special way to fix it that I would never think of. But no, it's just the same kind of things that would occur to me. Like I'm saying, like seal it, different ways to seal it from the outside. Find a somewhat more difficult way to seal it from the inside. And I've restored toys. I've sealed things from the inside before. I've done that. And it's risky and messy. That's a way, resin, rubber, foam. Those are the kinds of materials you could fill it with to give it stability. So, but all of those are very risky and would change the nature of the toy. Right now he has a certain weight and texture, and he feels like something of that time. You fill him with something, he's going to be heavy, or he's going to feel different. It's going to take the toy out of its natural time and make it more like something of this time. And we don't want that. We want to preserve him. So I think that's only strategy it's going to work is just preserve him. But, you know, I can look at his chest and just see it's going to just crack right there. It's going to cave in. I can see where it's going to happen. You know, it's just a matter of time. So, you know, special things just don't last forever. And that's part of why they're special. They're not permanent. And this is one of those things. It's very special, and it's not going to last forever. And it's probably not going to outlive me. A lot of collectibles probably will outlive me, but not this one. And in fact, I don't know if he's going to survive going from the basement back upstairs. I don't know. We'll see. You won't see that on camera if he breaks after this. Maybe he survived coming downstairs for this, but I don't know if he's going to survive going back up. Well, let's cover him up. We'll do the best we can. Hopefully he'll be around for a while. But other collectors I know who've owned these things, they try to store them, or not store, but display them standing up, like on a doll stand. And that puts stress on their head and on the rubber, and that's part of the problem. I think it's just gravity and storing them standing up. It puts stress in all the wrong places. That's why I store him laying down on his back, laying flat. And maybe that's helped prolong his life a little bit. Well, so, like this toy, good things are not made to last, and this season of Basement of Horror is also not going to last. It is coming to an end. But as I said, it's not the final end. There will be a second season, unless I kick the bucket, which could happen. There will be another season of a dozen or so, you know, 12, 13, 14, something like that, dozen episodes later this year. I'm thinking probably start sometime in the late summer and run through Halloween. And then maybe I can get some timeliness in there and get some Halloween-related content, some Halloween collectibles to show you in October. That would be nice. So, in the meantime, there are some things you can do for me. First of all, if you have not subscribed to this channel, but you're sitting here, you're so out of your mind that you would actually spend an hour watching a video about stuff like this, some doofus like me sitting here talking about this stuff in a basement, if you would do that, I would think you probably would be just crazy enough to click on subscribe and subscribe to that channel. So if you haven't, I mean, it's, right now when you're watching it, there's a button that says subscribe right there. Just click on it right now. Just click on it. It's easy. Just click. There you go. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, please. If you haven't been liking the videos, go back through and like the videos. Why not? No big deal. Just like the videos, because that helps me. It helps in YouTube's algorithms. If if I've got more subscribers, or the videos got more likes or more engagement, and that can help these videos become easier to find for new potential audience members, people who don't see the posts on Facebook or at UMA or Classic Horror Film Board. They don't see the posts, so they're not going to know about it unless YouTube throws it up at them and says, "Hey, this is something you might be interested in." So I don't usually ask for subscribers or likes. Most videos on YouTube, they say, "Don't forget to click subscribe." I don't do that. Most YouTube people are really obnoxious about every single video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, like every video. I don't think I've ever asked my viewers to subscribe or like a video. I might be forgetting 1 or 2 times. I don't know, but I don't think I've ever asked that. I think this is the first time. So once a year isn't too bad. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like the videos if you haven't liked them, because it does help the channel. It helps build the audience for the channel. It's not for my ego or something. It's for a practical reason. It helps me to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. So that's one thing. Another thing, if you've never shared any of the videos, please consider doing that. Like on Facebook or any other kind of social media, share some of these Basement of Horror videos. Share this video. Just pick your favorite one, share it. That helps. Tell someone about it, or talk about it. Go on a forum and say, hey, I like those Basement of Horror videos. Help me so that when we come back with the second season, because I don't know how many seasons I'm going to be able to do. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who like these if they would know about them, but they might miss them. It might be a couple of years from now before they catch on. They might be over. I don't know how many years I'm going to be able to keep doing this. So help me spread the word, help build the audience, get more people on board. That's something that you can do to help me between now and the second season. Help me get the word out. One thing I'm going to do is go back on some of the video descriptions and add some. I feel like it's really obnoxious to be all into like keywords. I at least for my own channel, I'm not about all this search engine optimization, all the savvy YouTube marketing methods. It's just so obnoxious. It's so. I don't want to be like that. I don't want my videos to have those obnoxious cover images where it's got big letters, what it's about, and it's got my face, and it's got like whatever the toy is, with a glowing halo or something. It's just, oh my gosh. You go on YouTube and you scroll through the videos, and it's like all these little wannabe TV producers or something. Oh, it's such a hard sell, and they're just so desperate for. I don't know what they're desperate for, but I really want this to be a personal, a friendly neighborhood YouTube channel. That's what it is, a friendly neighborhood YouTube channel, not a hard sell in your face kind of with me like blah blah, just talking real fast and real loud and hey toys. I don't want that with this obnoxious cover images and all the keywords and everything. Ugh, that's not what I want. But when you don't do that, you don't get subscribers, you don't get views. They do that for a reason, because it works. Unfortunately, a lot of obnoxious things in this world are the way they are because it works. Why you go buy a car? Why is the salesperson going to act, it's like a nightmare buying a car? Why? Because that's what works. Because that's what gets you to shell out $20,000 for a car. Why does a political candidate, their campaigns go on for 2 years and it's so vicious and it's so manipulative and it's so awful? Because it works. Because they don't do that, they don't get votes. So if you like what I'm doing, and you like this approach, the anti-hard sell, kind of anti-YouTuber kind of approach, the soft sell, more laid back, hopefully not obnoxious, not in your face. If you like that approach, help support it. So spread the word, help me get subscribers, help me grow the channel, not because I'm going to make money or anything. There's no money in this. just if you share my enthusiasm about these things, then help me spread that enthusiasm. And maybe when we come back, maybe the set will look a little different. I don't know. I don't think so. I think we'll still have this brown paneling, this wood paneling. But I don't know. Maybe we'll change a few things. We'll see. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Basement of Horror. And thank you for watching this entire first season of Basement of Horror. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me your feedback. And I hope you'll be here when we return with Season 2 of Basement of Horror. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.